And I guess they will tell you a bit about what they do, who they are, and some other stuff. So without further ado, please let me introduce, which one of you?
Both of us.
All of you.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
You ready?
I hope all of you had a productive week and ready to face today. Another productive day ahead. I am Karen Superville. I am currently the treasurer of the Rotary Central for Spain. The hairy gentleman to my right is Nigel Clark. Many of you are familiar with him. He is currently our vice president. He's also an incoming president or president-elect. So he will be serving as president next year. Today we want to talk to you guys not just about Rotary and Rotaract and everything that goes along with it, albeit wonderful from our own experiences, but we want to focus a little bit more on volunteerism as a whole, spend some time talking about what makes a good volunteer, how you can get involved, how we volunteer, and some of the more popular organizations within your own country, within Trinidad and Tobago and the region. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Nigel, who will take you through the first parts of the presentation. So Nigel, over to you.
Alright, cool. Hi, morning everyone. As Karen would have said, my name is Nigel. So we have to talk to you today about volunteerism. We have anybody in here, not the Rotarians and not the other Rotaractors, anybody in the General Assembly who volunteers? Oh,
That's
sorry.
good.
Sorry. Alright. Who do you all volunteer with? Alright, your hand was up last.
I volunteer with the journalist for library.
Alright, okay, cool. Martha? Pump exchange? Alright, anybody else? What up, Dan?
Rotary Club Central Police.
Me too.
It's volunteerism.
It is, yeah.
I'm not going to take that away from you.
Exactly. Please do.
Anyone else? Yes? Heroes Foundation? Okay, cool, great. So and anybody else, anyone wants to tell us why they volunteer? Martha?
Let's start with it. I have to start.
Well, so people get it.
Well, personally, I volunteer because I see it as a way of giving back and inspiring to my peers. Because I find it as something very important, especially in this day and age, where there are young people that don't really have any sense of direction or somebody that they can relate to or look up to. And personally, for me, it's a really good feeling when, somebody my age or a little younger or even a little bit older can watch me and say, well, thanks, you really helped me out, or you really showed me something new, or you passed on some knowledge on to me. All out of the kindness of my heart. So that's part of why I volunteer.
You now wanna talk?
No, I didn't. Also, at this age, most people probably volunteer because, you want to apply to college.
And it looks
That's
good.
the honest answer for
And it
most
looks
people.
good.
They want to apply to college, or they want their resume to look good.
Yes.
So, it would make them look like a good person. So that's also another reason for volunteering.
Marcus with the facts of
Well, I mean, that is a very valid point. Organizations do look at your resume, and they want to know that you're not just about the money, that you are not against giving back and helping your fellow man. Yes. Well, yeah. All right. So, what is volunteerism? So, just a brief definition. Volunteerism is the policy or practice of volunteering one's times or talents for charitable, educational, or other worthwhile activities, especially within one's community. Now, when we say community, we do mean your neighbor 2 houses down, or somebody living on the same street as you. If you are passionate about starving kids in Africa, then Africa could be your community. It's whatever you want it to be. And what we say, what I believe is volunteerism occurs where your passion and selflessness align or merge with your community. So, Eric, you have markers, whiteboard markers.
Oh, okay, somebody.
Stop. So just really quick, excuse my handwriting, it is terrible.
That's a whiteboard marker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're studying to be a doctor before.
I was actually.
It's not even that bad.
It is. It's horrible.
No, it's not that bad.
Alright.
Trust me.
Alright.
Back to it.
So, as I was saying, volunteerism occurs where your passion, selflessness align with the community. So, your passion is about starving children in Africa. Well, starving children and the community will be Africa. Right here. That's where volunteerism would occur. So we have a short video on volunteerism. I think we might have a point.
Wait. Wait. Was I hearing anything?
volume is on.
But it's not playing, it's only playing through these speakers. You hearing it through there? Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any voice.
You all can hear?
It's really just the
You
music
can
in the
see
background.
though?
Yeah,
You can
the
see
most
the video.
important thing is that you can see what
Okay.
So, as you can see, volunteerism is really people just giving their time and talents, as the definition would have said, to a cause. So, we learn a new definition, well, most of us, some of us, learn a new definition. But what, as far as I'm concerned, that's just words. You need to be able to put that definition in action. And that is where the power of volunteerism comes into play. So you're taking your time and your talent, but what are you doing with it? Anybody here know anybody with polio? Six people.
You know why that is?
You know, well, that's terrible. You all know why that is?
Because they disclosed them in polio.
Yeah, because they are this close to the polio. because since 1979, the Rotary International has worked arduously to end the disease. They have, between 1979 to now, there has been a decrease of 99.9% of polio cases. So they are literally this close to ending polio. Next one.
Feel free to come.
Now, here you go and see some familiar faces. Yes,
Yep.
it is. It is. It is Mohammed, Anne-Marie, Lara. So volunteers don't just necessarily need to volunteer with one organization. You aren't confined to one organization. This, you're seeing our house in the background. Everybody seeing the house, right? Alright. Everybody seeing the Canadian flag, right? Everybody seeing all the people in the pictures wearing the same shit, right? Alright. So this was the Canadian High Commission, supporting Habitat for Humanity in building a house in Sani Grande. I think the lady's name was Kathy, Lara, yeah? Yeah, this was September last year. So they really do go above and beyond the call of duty. So Lara heavily involved with Rotary, but still found time to come out and help build a house for someone, as well as Anne-Marie, as well as Mohammed. Right. Who is also a Rotary actor, by the way. If you didn't know by his,
didn't know, now you know.
his t-shirt, you know now. Yeah. So, this is how volunteerism affects, and I particularly like this slide because this is what you all are debating about. For the past several weeks, this is what you all have been about. Anybody from representing the United States?
Late to the party.
Tragic.
That's the word as it is, right?
Alright, so this United Way, they've opened a center for human trafficking and slavery to combat one of the most crippling social issues plaguing us today. So if any people from the United States who represent the United States get here, you can always tell them, yo, we have a point for the debate.
Wow.
Yeah, next.
Thanks so Babylon. Even Trumpian tactics are.
Yeah. So now I'll hand you over to Karen and he will talk about
How we volunteer. Thanks, Nigel. Yeah. So, how we volunteer is what I want to spend some time talking about today. And today's presentation on how we volunteer will take twofold or a threefold approach, We'll spend some time talking about Rotary and Rotary overall. We'll spend some time talking about Rotaract and specifically our district, our Rotaract district. And we'll also spend some time talking about our club. I mean, if I have an audience, I'll advertise to that audience, right? It's free. Well, in the sense that I don't have to pay to be here. But I have to volunteer my time. So I'll spend some time on some of the past projects of our club and some of the upcoming projects of our club and some of the ways that you guys could get in contact with us. And if you don't feel comfortable coming to our club or Rotary on a whole or anything within the Rotary family, then Nigel has some other ideas for you. But I think you'll be comfortable coming to our club. Just saying. So, Rotary. So Rotary, as you know it, would be the facilitators of this session, Mune on the whole. I think we are over 20 years, we've had over 20 years of Mune, sponsored, coordinated, organized by our Rotary Club. We are also here 20 plus years of Mune represents the commitment of our volunteers to causes that they see as important to them and as important to the community as a whole. So it's worth bigging up Rotary on their commitment to Mune and to you guys, the youth of today, the leaders of tomorrow, and in some instances, the leaders of today as well, because the youth have a voice, and we can use that voice for change, right? Yes, I'm still a youth, I'm under 30. So Rotary are beginning to know themselves and themselves as people of action. And you'll see me use a hashtag in some instances to represent Rotary because I'm talking to an audience that's familiar with hashtags and the purpose of hashtags. It helps build that identity and connect different people who may share similar views, similar opinions, and so forth. Rotary is a global network of more than 1.2 million plus. I don't want to just say volunteers, neighbors, friends, family members, professionals, leaders, philanthropists who engage in different works or different volunteer type activities throughout the world. At last count, there were over 35,000 plus Rotary clubs throughout the world, which is in itself amazing. Whereas you have so many people connecting outside of a country, outside of its any sovereign borders on similar issues and similar causes and that sort of thing, right? So those 35,000 plus clubs work towards promoting peace, fighting disease, providing clean water and sanitation and hygiene, saving mothers and children, supporting education, and growing local economies. We've all seen, and we can all give examples in different ways, that our Rotary clubs have been involved in one or more, if not all of these activities, if not only locally with the Rotary Club of Central Port of Spain and others, but regionally and indeed globally. The defining traits of Rotary would be that they're truly international. 35,000 plus clubs is truly international. They persevere through tough times. The Rotary Club, the first Rotary Club was actually founded in 1905, I believe, by Paul Harris, a Chicago attorney who just felt the need to do more for his community. And they're also committed to service. Any organization that has been around for so long has to be committed to something, if not only themselves, right? Interestingly enough, anybody could guess why it's called Rotary and why the logo is a wheel? Anybody besides Lara? Yeah, you're on the right track. Continuity. So you mentioned continuity because a wheel turns. I only found this out yesterday, but apparently the name Rotary came from the fact that the first club, they used to alternate or rotate where meetings were held amongst the various members. And I was like, well, this definitely gives the name some meaning, right? And it's stuck. We're now into, it's more than 100 years later, and Rotary is still existing, still making a difference, still impacting different communities. Some of the strongest commitments of Rotary would be its fight against polio. So Nigel mentioned the fact that only a few of us in here even know anybody with polio. 25 years ago, that would not have been so. In 1988, that would be 29 years ago. In 1988, we had more than 125 countries in which polio was endemic. At last count, we were down to just about 3 countries globally. And that's largely due to the work that Rotary has been doing to fight polio. Other significant causes would represent its commitment to youth. So we are all the embodiment of Rotary's commitment to youth. We have Mune. Some of us would have attended RILA, some of the youth conferences. Many of us, some of us may be members of Interact clubs in our schools. And we also have Rotary. Now, you'd see all of us in these nice polos bearing the Rotary Club of Central Port of Spain's logo, along with the Rotary wheel. Here today, we have some in the back. We have our president in front. We have Mohammed, who's been volunteering. We have Chandel, who's probably our newest member, along with another new member in the back at Tia, who some of you would be familiar with.
And Sarah.
And Sarah here helping out, ensuring that there's a live stream on YouTube every week, which is great. That is all possible. We are all here because of Rotary's commitment to youth. And you'll see later on, if it wasn't for Rotary, our club wouldn't exist, right? Yeah. You'd hear us say that Rotary clubs need to be sponsored by a Rotary club. And that's the reality. We can't exist unless we have a parent club, a Rotary club to cling to. Not that we cling to them and, suck as much as possible that we can. I'm not saying that you don't, because our Rotary clubs are made up of leaders and professionals who have a certain set of skills that they're willing to use. I think you need to learn a bit of diplomacy. Let's not go to the money yet. But it is true, when we need resources and we don't know where else to turn, we turn to our Rotary club because they're there and we know that they will support us as best as they can. Sometimes the support that we get is a slap on the wrist. No. You should not be doing it this way, and I know you're familiar with Lara, so I don't need to go into more details. So Rotaract. The hashtag for Rotaract is Rotaract turns 50. And if you search on social media, you will see clubs all around the world celebrating Rotaract turns 50. Rotaract, much like Lara, is 50 years old this year. She says it out in the open, so I mean, yes. So Rotaract is 50 years old. The very first Rotaract club was founded in 1968, sponsored by the Rotary Club of North Charlotte, I believe. So the first Rotaract club would have been at the University of North Carolina in North America, founded in 1968. But that Rotaract club was not the first incarnation of youth organizations that shared Rotary's principles. Before that, you had clubs by different names. So you had Paul Harris Circles, you had Rotas, you had 2030 clubs, among many others around the world. That just showed that the influence of Rotary, being founded in 1905, spread rapidly throughout the globe. And in 1968, owing to the fact that just 5 years or 6 years before, Rotary had decided that they wanted to take on Interact as a project. You had all of these persons leaving schools where Interact clubs would have been existing, now saying, okay, not ready to join Rotary. Can't join Rotary just yet, but I'm not ready to give up my service life. What do I do? People took it upon themselves to form these clubs, and then eventually it was all formalized into Rotaract. So some of my interactors may know that Interact is international action. Rotaract didn't just come out of thin air. Close. Very close. Rotaract is Rotary in action. Although I think I read somewhere that it was also intended to bridge the gap between Rotary and Interact. So they combined the two into Rotaract. I don't know how true that is. It may be true, but it sounds good. It's a plausible explanation as well. And the main focus of Rotaract is to build leadership and professional development capabilities within our youth, also to extend into community service, and inherent in those activities are fundraising activities, public relations activities, and fellowship. As young people, we all like to come together and have a good time, relax, but why not take that and make it a good cause? Do some good work out of it. Rotaractors range from 18 to 30 years old. We now also have honorary members who can, honorary members who can now be as old as 35. Even though I don't think Rotary will let us have those because they will be snapping them up as soon as they become available.
True.
I'm looking at you, Nigel Clark. Currently, our cohort would be somewhere north of 10,900 clubs globally, with 250,000 plus members in 184 countries. So you can see the reach of Rotaract. In addition to that, what did I want to mention here, boy? Right, so in addition to that, the structure of managing such a vast network of volunteers, community service professionals, and leaders has to have in it some kind of structure, right? So the world of Rotary, or Rotary International, is divided into districts. We belong to District 7030, which ranges from St. Kitts in the north to the Guyanas in the south. So we have clubs in St. Kitts all the way down to Suriname, I believe in the south, and everywhere in between. There are 34 clubs, 34 Rotary clubs in District 7030, of which 19, give or take one or two, if there may be clubs added or removed, belong to Trinidad and Tobago. You have clubs in Tobago, San Fernando, Point Fortin, Felicity, Charlieville, and those clubs could either be community-based or school-based. So I think we have one or two school-based clubs in Trinidad and Tobago. Rotary Club of Piaco, BATCE. Yeah, so I don't know if there's anybody from Bishop's Anstey or Trinity College East here. So you guys are familiar with the Rotary Club in your school, right? Are you all members? Wonderful. Very good. So our district, as mentioned, has 34 clubs. We were chartered in 2005. So January 21st, 2005, we actually became a club. And what you actually need to become a club would be willing members. So I think we have one of our founding members in the back there somewhere. You all know her as Rotary Abigail. And our membership at present stands at 17 pinned members. It was languishing below 15 for a while, but we just had a few people added, so that kind of bumped us up, which is good. It means that we now have a sustainable level of membership that we can use to execute on our projects and so forth. Our membership is not just local. One of our members has been in Japan for the past year, where she lives, I think is somewhere like 8 or 10 hours ahead of us. Yet still, she takes the time, or she can make the time to be a part of what we do. She's our resident graphic artist, so if we need any graphics for any of our projects, we know who to call. And generally, she's willing to give her time. Our membership is also not based in Port of Spain. I don't think we have anybody that lives in Port of Spain, though our club is the Rotary Club of Central Port of Spain. We have members that live all the way up in the east, some that live in Central, some that live in the west, some that live north of Port of Spain, but no one actually living in Port of Spain. And that lends to what Nigel was mentioning about community. Your community could be anywhere. I see my community as all of Trinidad and Tobago and the region. So if I have the opportunity to impact anywhere in Trinidad and Tobago, I'll do that, because that's my community. So in terms of volunteering, don't think that because there isn't a need in your community, your geographic community, that you shouldn't be able to do something somewhere else. There's always opportunities, and what I want to share with you now are some of the projects that we would have done in the past, as well as some of the projects that we have coming up. So our past projects include our soup kitchen, Lend a Hand, our youth symposium, and our Lady Ho Choi Primary School uplift. Those are some, just a snapshot of our community service projects. Soup Kitchen is an ongoing project where instead of just going into Port of Spain and feeding the homeless once, we decided, you know what, we could do this on an ongoing basis, and we do that. Our last incarnation, we did a soup kitchen on wheels. So we just loaded up the cars with food. Thank you to Rotary and Abby for lending us our house to pack the bowls, and we drove around to Port of Spain and tried to give everybody a hot bowl of soup. Now, that's the next thing. Just because it's called Soup Kitchen doesn't mean that we only serve soup, right? Last year, our first soup kitchen, and I don't know if Sarah is still here, but she laughed when she found out that we weren't serving soup, we served pilau. Just before Christmas last year, we said, you know what? Why we can't do bread and ham? Get people into, it's not just about serving soup, and it's also about treating the people that we're serving with dignity, because they are human beings, and they deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. Our lender hand saw us doing some uplifting work at the Princess Elizabeth Center. So if any of you are familiar with the center and the work that they do, you'd understand why it's important for volunteers and volunteer organizations to do what we can, when we can. We had a two-part project where we refurbished and painted their play area, and we also did some landscaping. First time a lot of us used some of the tools that were available, but it was good experience. So that's the next thing. Rotary teaches you how to use tools. Our youth symposium, which was held with, this would have been a few years ago, with the police youth club of, I believe it was St. Barb's. There's another marquee project that was undertaken. I think this would have been somewhere back in 2011 or 2012. I can't recall the exact year. And lastly, the Lady Ho-Choi's School Uplift. We reached out to them through our former community service director, Sarah. And they said, you know what, our exterior wall could do with some love. We reached out to corporate sponsors, we got some paint, we bought what we couldn't get sponsored. And in one Saturday morning, we were able to repaint the entire exterior wall. That's just because people were willing to give their time and the resources to do that. Other past projects and other arms of service include Talk Shop, led by current President Danielle Hackshaw. She's also a professional service director. And Danielle would have arranged for us to have these sit-down sessions with professionals and leaders in different spheres. Any of you familiar with Private Ryan? DJ Private Ryan? Well, we actually had time. My girlfriend's favorite DJ. Literally. We actually had the time to sit and chat with Private Ryan about his coming up in the business, things that the challenges that he would have had to overcome to get where he's at, his plans for the future, because, you know, we never stop learning and growing unless we want to. So if you want to stop learning, kudos to you, but I don't. I want to continue learning and growing. So Talk Shop gave us the platform for doing that. It also opened our eyes to things that we may have been hesitant about. As professionals, you might think, well, I like DJing, but I don't think I could get into that business. Somebody may have been touched by that discussion to step out of their comfort zone and become your, I don't know, the next Private Ryan, right? Major penny, anything you want to call it, that works for you. Maybe touching, but yeah. Now, inherent in everything that we do, we need to function as a club. We need money to function without going to Rotary and say, can I have $100,000, please? To which they'll probably tell us no. So we have numerous fundraisers, and we take the roundabout approach to getting them to sponsor certain things, right? We will sell them a ticket. So back in December, we hosted our first, hopefully, what is going to be an annual Boozy Brunch. Now, this was a club service initiative where we were raising funds towards club administration. We have to pay dues to the district. We have to get these lovely polos embroidered, things like that. So that would have been one of our projects, Boozy Brunch. Look out for it next year for those of you that may be 18 or older, because there's alcohol, hence boozy. And we won't be encouraging drinking underage, right? And we also have some other more signature fundraising initiatives. We've had Cupcake Fest now twice, I believe. Cupcake Fest is our annual fundraiser where it's not just your typical bake sale. We sell cupcakes, hundreds and thousands of cupcakes, a lot of cupcakes. But it's worth it. Yeah. And it's coming up again. Don't worry, you'll get some details on that later. And this year we took on the challenge of producing and selling merchandise. Now this is Rotaract branded merchandise because we have a wide network of Rotaractors who like to say that they're Rotaractors. So why not show off that you're a Rotaractor? And let us pocket some money from that in the interim so that we could fund some of our coming projects. So I think, well, nobody here is wearing the merchandise except Sarah. Sarah has her hat. So if you see Sarah's hat, yeah, so near $100. Yeah,
become a Rotaractor.
But you have to become a Rotaractor. We printed T-shirts with all of the clubs in the back. We printed hoodies, which apparently was a hit. I think some Rotarians bought hoodies from us this year, which is good. Yeah. And we'll be looking to expand our merchandise business. Reason for that is we need the funds to be able to execute on projects. Corporate sponsors are not as willing as they were before to just write you a check for $5,000 so that you could go paint the lady hotel home. Yeah, so we need to come up with interesting ways to keep the club going and keep the work of the club going as well. In terms of upcoming projects, because the work never stops for us, this year we'll be hosting the third installment of Cupcake Fest. It's on March 30th. March 31st? Yeah. So you have an extra day to buy tickets, March 31st. Tickets are $10 or thereabouts to enter, and then you buy your cupcakes. And the reason for buying tickets is not because you're just going to get cupcakes, right? There's entertainment, there's face painting for kids. This year we have an Easter Bunny competition with the school that we're at, which is the Goodwill Center. We have a cake competition or cake baking or decorating competition where you could actually win. As a participant in the competition, you could win a hamper. As a guest, you could win one of the lovely decorated cakes. Who wouldn't want that for $10, right? Our next community service project is an important one to me, which is the Green Route. Green Route is essentially our way of deploying plastic recycling bins at Citygate. Now, I use Citygate almost every day, and I also have a special place in my heart for people that recycle and the need for recycling. So this is a perfect opportunity for us to raise awareness about the need for recycling, introduce mechanisms by which we could actually reduce the amount of plastic waste that gets into our landfills and our waterways and so forth, and just generally uplift our main transportation hub in Port of Spain. So look out for that. That's going to happen sometime between World Earth Day and International Recycling Day. That's going to be a month-long series of activities. Some of you may see soon invitations to enter our competition. That's coming up. You could win something there as well. Ads in the newspapers, on radio, on Facebook, all the social media platforms, because it's important to raise awareness. One of the things I've noticed is that you could put a recycling bin there and nobody's going to use it. Or they're going to put all kind of trash in it. That's one of the things that hurt me the most. So I live in Pittsburgh, and we used to have a glass recycling bin, one of those carrot glass bins at the Arangay Savannah. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the area, but the Arangay Savannah used to have a glass recycling bin. And every time we went there to put our glass bottles in, it was filled with all kind of rubbish. Guess what happened? Carrot glass said, thanks but no thanks, and they removed the bin. So now I'm left with either find another bin somewhere else or just dispose of my glass in a regular trash like everybody else. So it's important for us to educate the public in ways or the reasons for recycling, as well as giving them the mechanisms for doing so. But it's not all so serious. Next weekend we have Rotary Olympics at the Queen's Royal College grounds, best grounds in the country.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We'll try. So next weekend we have Rotary Olympics at Queen's Royal College grounds from 2 to 7 p.m. Those of you who are open to the idea, come through. $30 to enter, and you could participate not in the sports but in the festivities. Come through and support. It's one of our fellowship activities where Rotaractors get together, share some refreshments, and engage in light conversation and camaraderie
Fellowship
at the time. It's 2 to 7 p.m., so it's not your typical sports day. It's not any blazing hot sun.
Yeah,
next Saturday afternoon at Queen's Royal College grounds. And our next professional development activity or project would be art therapy, I believe. So you see, Rotaract is doing pretty much everything that we can with the resources that we have. Our president has arranged for an art therapy session with one of the leading art psychologists. Is she? That's what she is? Yeah?
She started her business in Christy and Tall, and she focuses, she specializes in...
Yeah.
Hi!
Danny.
Hi, I'm Danielle, I'm friends So I'm a professional development service director. So it is art therapy, and it should be either May or April. We just need to confirm the dates. And it's basically focusing on stress management through art. The facilitator, her name is Christy Anatol, and that is her specialization. So it's a different way. Yes, we can sit down and listen to psychologists tell us different methods of dealing with stress, or you can find your balance through art. And sometimes you find that you have an affinity to art through these situations. So yeah, that's about it in a nutshell. Okay.
So for those that didn't hear, art therapy sometime in April or May, hosted by one of the leading art therapists in Trinidad and Tobago, Christy Anatol. We'll be there, we'll be participating. We'll extend the invite to our Rotary Club. So members, if you want to attend, feel free to drop in. And it's just some of the ways in which Rotaractors tend to build their capacity, their professional capacity and personal capacity as well, because being able to deal with stressful situations is significantly important to not just young professionals, but pretty much everyone. I know all of you have had to deal with stressful situations. So it's an important lesson for us to all learn. So I'd encourage anybody who can attend, once the invite has been extended to you, to do so. So yeah, those upcoming projects are just a snippet of what we have planned. Now, our Rotaract year cycle ends at the end of June. So whilst you've only heard about 4 upcoming projects, it's because we only have about 4 months left in the Rotaract year to do that. And at the start of every year, we will meet, we'll retreat to somewhere in the woods where nobody could find us, and we'll plan projects for the upcoming year. But those are not the only projects that we execute. We get invited to all sorts of different things. Other Rotaract clubs have projects that they do as well. So the Rotary Olympics that's coming up next weekend is actually not only hosted by us. It's a joint initiative with other Rotaract clubs in the Port of Spain area. We're inviting everyone to come out and attend. And then at the very end of the Rotaract year, we're doing something of a Rota weekend type activity. It's more like an entire Rota month because we have so many things planned. But one of our fellow Rotaract clubs, the Rotaract Club of Port of Spain West, they host their signature annual fundraiser. One of their signature annual fundraisers is a boat ride. And it's called what? Rota Boat? So we'll go to that, and then we'll have fun doing other things. Now it's important, that Rota at the start or end of anything makes a whole lot of difference.
Rota Boats, Rota Olympics, Rota Love,
Rota Merch,
Rota everything.
It helps connect everybody. In the same way that identifying with Rotary helps connect people from all around the world. Yeah. Yeah. It helps us brand what we do. No.
He said root your boats.
And we also have, on that weekend or the weekend before, I believe we are hosting a scavenger hunt, which will be open to corporate teams and Rotaract teams as well. So we're not just doing things in isolation. That scavenger hunt will help us fund some of our club administration for the next Rotaract year, so that when President Nigel takes up his mantle, he's not left with an empty bank account to work with. And he can actually, along with this board, plan projects and execute on those projects for the year. So that's just part of what we do. For those of you that might be wanting to connect with us, find us on Facebook, Rotaract Club of Central Port of Spain. You can find us on Instagram at Rotaract_Central Port of Spain. You can email us at rotaractcpos@gmail.com. And always look out, you could search for the hashtag RotaractCentralPOS. We tend to try to connect everything that we do so that you can see. We're very active on social media. We try to do a lot to connect with people on social media as well. If you find us on Facebook and want to message us, feel free to do so. We will connect with you. We will share details around when our next meetings might be and that sort of thing, so that you could always feel free to drop in. And if you like it, why not stay? But if you don't like Rotaract, you don't like Rotary and what Rotary stands for, because we all have our personal beliefs, there are other volunteer organizations in Trinidad and Tobago and the region, and some of them are global, that you can connect with, give your time, give your energies, give your talents, give your resources if you can. And I'll hand you back to Nigel to just go through some of those organizations.
Right, so as Karen would say, as he would have said, I'm here to talk to you about other NGOs. So we ask the question, who volunteers? And while we can talk to you about Rotaract and volunteerism on the whole, we're not here to brainwash you. We really just want to open your minds and your hearts, most importantly, to giving back. So if Rotaract doesn't seem to be a speed, if Rotary just not for you, I mean, we might kind of coast on you a little bit, you might pass in the street, but we're not going, is once you give back, that's what really matters. So, an NGO, but you know what NGO is? Non-governmental organization, right? Non-profit citizen-based group that functions independently of the government. So we have some, well, I have highlighted a couple, just like 3, that, you could volunteer to or with to help make a difference. And based on the number of persons that puts up their hands earlier, even if none of what I'm about to show you appeals to you, you could always talk to any of the other delegates, any of your friends, to kind of get an idea of what they do and what their volunteering entails and what they are about, so that you can also get involved. So first up, we have Amnesty International. They campaign for a world where human rights are enjoyed by all. I mean, you all hear debating and talking about human trafficking. They, along with so many different organizations, are just hell-bent on giving persons equal rights and just making sure everybody enjoys a better quality of life. Then we have, but you know what that is? Hey, I get you, boy. 10 points to Gryffindor. So, Red Cross provides emergency assistance, disaster relief, and education. So, in the video that we have shown earlier, a couple of those volunteers would have been from Red Cross and just helping out wherever disaster hits. So, I'm not sure if they would have been on the stadium, but that would have been something, that they could have helped out with. No. All right, and then we have, so locally we will have like TTSPC. Anybody know what this is? Anybody want to take a stab at what the acronym means? I can't hear you. Alright, cool. I will take that. So TTSPCA, basically, yes. Alright, so TTSPCA deals with the prevention of cruelty towards animals. So, anybody here like animals? Alright, cool. So, if you really can't stand people, if feeding the homeless and whatnot, that's just not your thing, and you have 1 million cats home, one of our Rotaractors has goats. If that's what you're interested in, if that's what you're interested in, is we really just want you all to follow your passion. Remember what we say, where your passion and your community align, that's where volunteerism occurs. Yep. So, if that's what you're passionate about, if that's what you enjoy, that's what makes you happy, then go full steam ahead for it. Alright, so now I am back over to Karen, so he can talk to you about CSRs, not the people you just call when the internet down. That's not what we mean.
Alright, so CSRs, and we're talking about corporate social responsibility and the corporate social responsibility programs. This definition, which I will read for you off the slide because I'm such a professional presenter, says the concept whereby organizations consider the interests of society by taking responsibility for the impact of their activities on customers, employees, shareholders, communities, and the environment in all aspects of their operations. What I want you to take away from this definition is organizations taking responsibility for the impact of their activities. It could be anywhere, but the most important part of this definition is organizations, more so corporate entities, taking responsibility for the impact of their activities. Yet.
Oh, yes.
Yet. Now, there are organizations that will respond to crisis and take responsibility in a crisis, but corporate social responsibility really focuses on day-to-day activities where organizations said, you know what, we're making enough money in this community to help fix up that school down the road, so let's adopt that school, or let's talk to that school's administration, adopt that school, and ensure that that school has the resources it needs to continue functioning and building tomorrow's leaders. And they might brand that as a program. You have other organizations that say, you know what, we're making enough money, or we may not even be making enough money, but this is important to us. It's important to our staff members, it's important to our leaders, it's important to our clients. So let's put some of our resources into that activity, or into this organization, or into that community. There are a number of corporate social responsibility programs in Trinidad and Tobago. So if we were to go into all of them, we'd stay here until 4 o'clock this afternoon. So we'll just touch on a couple of them. The first one that I am well aware of, having been a member of Young Leaders in secondary school and now working for the organization that kind of sponsors the Young Leaders program, RBC, is one that's dear to me. So it used to be called Young Leaders, now it's called We. The thinking being it's not just me by myself as a young leader, but it's about all of us. And it also helps RBC partner with a global network of the We organization and We schools to build a more sustainable future and to build better leaders for tomorrow. Now, this also helps staff members from RBC do some amazing things. RBC's Global Citizen Award helps or awards employees with work. Might sound like fun, but every year, global citizens from RBC who participate in volunteer programs and help out with volunteer organizations in their own communities get nominated, and some of them even win the opportunity to go to Kenya and do a lot of volunteer work there. One of my closest friends went to Kenya this year, and I feel like she came back a different person, but I'm not jealous of her going to Kenya to do work. I promise I'm not jealous. But it helps connect people not just in our secondary schools and primary schools, but other corporate sponsors, NGOs, and so forth, to do a lot more. Now, the next corporate social responsibility program that I want to talk to you about today is the Massey Foundation. Everybody here knows Massey, right?
Yes, they are.
Wonderful. Yeah. So, being a sponsor for Mune is just one of the ways in which the Massey Foundation has been doing a hell of a lot of work. Massey is one of our go-to corporate sponsors, unfortunately. Because we have familial and professional connections with Massey, we won't mention who. And they've been doing a lot of good work across the region, not just locally. Massey is a regional conglomerate, so they do a lot of work across the region. Other corporate social responsibility programs would include the Digicel Foundation. They have their own foundation that would execute on Digicel's corporate programs. You have other corporate sponsors as well. So I think in the Habitat for Humanity photo that Nigel shared, you would have seen a big NGC logo. NGC would also sponsor some activities in there as well. So without getting too much into it, what I'm really trying to say to you is if you find yourself in an organization that has a corporate social responsibility program in which you can participate, then volunteering is not just finding an NGO that's doing work. It can also mean spending an extra hour or two during the week at work where you may be working and giving that time towards a worthy cause. A cause that may be important to your organization and also be a cause that's important to you. Sometimes the two line up, sometimes they don't, and we say, you know what, thanks but no thanks, I'll give you $50 every month towards this program, but I'm not going to participate. I'll go find Rotaract and do work with Rotaract there. Corporate social responsibility programs is just another way that volunteers can make an impact. Yeah? What do we have up next?
We have, real quick, you just go on around through what makes a good volunteer. So, first off, who here considers themselves to be energetic? I mean, granted is, who here considers themselves to be energetic?
Raise your hand
Energetic.
if you consider yourself to be energetic.
Laura, your hand should be up. Thanks. Thanks. Great. Alright.
I mean, not now because it's 10 o'clock in the morning and I might all be sleepy. But on a regular.
Alright. So, based on what we see in here, if you consider yourself to fit at least 5 or 6 of these characteristics, then I suggest you volunteer. For the people who are already, great. For the ones who kind of on the fence that are already sold, then this is your opportunity and this is your call to action to really step up and make that commitment. So for the ones who you do have possess these 5 to 7 traits, what is preventing you from volunteering? That's the question that we want to leave with you. And if there's one thing you take from this presentation, please let it be known that KRC is the best school in the world. No, but on a real. Oh, you ready, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 3 tickets. 3, I think, yeah. 3 tickets to this movie with Denzel Washington, Roman Israel Esquire. Which means that we have 3 questions that need to be answered. We have 3 tickets to Roman Israel Esquire that we'd like to give away, which means that we have 3 questions that we'd like answers to. So those of you that might be interested, it's a fundraising activity on Tuesday the 6th of March at 7:30 p.m. At Movie Town in Port of Spain. So you don't have to pay for this fundraising activity. You just have to answer a question to show us that you were paying attention today some way, right? Questions? All right.
Who founded Rotary International?
So,
who founded Rotary International?
Yeah, I put my hand there.
You did.
Paul Harris. This is a Rasta thing.
He popped his hand first.
no, that's correct. But you don't put up
You
a
did.
hand.
I was doing this since like 9 o'clock.
Alright, so the only other thing that we should mention is that Rotarians and Rotaractors are not allowed to enter this competition. Yes, Anne-Marie, I'm trained up for you. Next question. No. Alright. The Rotary Club of Central Port of Spain has a fundraising project coming up sometime in the next month or so. Anybody like to tell me the name? Yeah? Yes, that's correct.
Come on now.
You can answer the question, right? The next question is for you. If you put up your hand first. Next question.
What is the name of our district?
Pick me!
Nah, you will need.
Paul, come on.
Put up your hand, Paul. No, it's not 17. It's not 17.
Not 17?
By all rights, there's discrimination now.
Come on, Curtis. You get shoot. You get shoot. You get shoot.
I need to
Yeah?
carry somebody to
That's our club name. We're looking for the district name.
District name. Alright. Alright.
420.
Pardon?
17.
Alright. His hand was up. It's been up for a while.
Yeah. We take that.
By the way, everyone, it was on Eric's shirt. It was on Eric's shirt.
So it's District 1730, but we will take 1730 because it's close enough. Enjoy.
Not 1730. Alright, that is it for our presentation. So on behalf of our people,
Nobody was in your presentation? Or was it online?
Is there a Rotary in the back?